class, so it's not. So that's okay. We didn't place it on our list, but happy birthday. Thank you. 27 forever. Yeah, exactly. Okay, so there's cookies in the back and there is a list of our birthdays right here. So if you see anybody, know anybody on this list, say happy birthday to them this month, okay? All right, we're gonna move on. Let anybody have any wants or needs or gratitudes or celebrations that they have for the week? Weather. Is that a gratitude? It's a lot of feelings in here. It's a lot of you. Anybody else have any wants and needs, a new listing, a new buyer they want to talk about?
I have one online.
Okay, go ahead online.
I have a lot in Mapleton that just went on the market. It's a half an acre in Whiting Farms. We're listed at 375. You can bring any builder. There's not really any restrictions in there for your building. So if anybody has a buyer in Mapleton that wants to build a custom home, let me know.
Awesome. Okay.
I'm helping a new agent and we just got a listing out in Grantsville. So if you have anyone looking in Grantsville, it's just like a 6-bedroom Rambler home on a half acre.
What county is that?
Chihuahuas.
Cool. Okay. Anybody else have anything? Buyer, seller, gratitudes, celebrations. Okay, good one. So, yeah, I think it was really good. Okay, so for our broker moment, this came from Rob, but since he's teaching the class, I'm gonna say it. Actually, you might want to pipe in, but this is really good. So, your text signature, have you guys seen that where automatically every text says Jennifer Yo, Presidio Real Estate? Is that a good thing or is that a liability? Well, people, any thoughts? He's already stumped everyone. Good job, Rob. We can end the class now.
It's all done.
So what Rob had found out was that there's a lawsuit going on, and what the lawsuit contained was that the agreement that was text back and forth, like, okay, yeah, we'll get you over a contract or get it accepted or something like that, was an accepted contract with a signature essentially. So be very, very careful. And I would suggest you just don't have text signatures.
So this is a current lawsuit that's in Park City. And it was between a buyer and seller. And there was negotiating that was going back and forth via text. And the buyer decided they were no longer interested. And the seller is suing the buyer and using the text as a element to form a contract. One of the things to form a contract is signature. And they're relying upon that text or that's name as a form to fulfill the element to fulfill a contract. So the attorney that's involved in this, which is a very good friend of, I found out is a very good friend of Jess. He has advised remove your signatures from your text, your automatic signature from your text to avoid this type of an example that could come from it. The results of the lawsuit have not been determined. I can believe that every industry, if this was found to be okay, that every industry would be having a problem.
Can't the buyer back out anyway?
We don't know the terms of the contract. So again, it was verbally.
Just like-
They may have had something, part of the negotiation, they said that it was upon acceptance, it's it. So I don't know the terms of the contract, but that's what they're relying upon.
Yeah, crazy, huh? Something to think about. Okay, we're gonna move on. Our next. Why is it not moving forward? Okay, we get a glance. Next week's sales meeting has changed, so don't look at that. But we will have 4 hours of CE next week. So if you need any CE, get caught up.
At 10 a.m.
What's that?
At 10 a.m.
10 a.m. We will have a meeting. It's just not that guy. Okay. All right. So here's our weekly closers. Anybody here in the room? You see your name? I see the Onyx group here.
0.3 is pretty good.
Good, you guys, looks like we're turning around. Does it feel up? Feel the market just changing a little? Good thing, huh? Feels really good. Okay, well, congratulations, everybody. That's awesome. Actually, we are moving on. Quick announcements. We still have that women's empowerment seminar that's $75 here at night. It's these people that train teachers and public figures that go out in the public and be prepared for if, you know, there's some like mass shooting or anything like that. So this is well worth every penny you'd be putting into it. And it's a 2-hour evening here. We might be over for Colony, I think, though. Yeah, we are. So please sign up for that. It's for women. So if you're a man and you know some great women that want to be in this, your wives, your sisters, your moms, please encourage them to be in this, okay? All right, we are also having for our Pleasant Grove Officer Friday Fun Day next Friday, and that is we'll be making chocolate. Going to just add chocolate. It'll be super fun. So be there. Okay,
And we're meeting here beforehand, right?
correct. Go over together.
Like 9:45.
Yeah, okay. Sure. Crystal, are you on? No.
I think she said 9:45.
Okay, we'll meet here at 9:45. Thanks for listening. And then we'll all write over together. Okay. Get through our affiliate. Is IBEX here? Online? How about Elevate? Yep.
Oh, yeah.
Come on up.
How are you guys doing?
Pretty
good.
Good. That's like a good morning response. I feel like usually in the morning I don't get that kind of response. So I feel like I get up here and I come warranties all the time. I'm Tanner with Elevate Home Descriptions. But today I'm just gonna talk about our giveaway. It's a Lululemon $100 giveaway. So my wife says not to enter. Because she entered, and so the less of you enter, we'll get a better chance for her. But I'll pass this around. It's $100. And then just our contact information. We're always available if you have any questions or anything about warranties. I've been getting a lot of questions recently about listing coverage. So if you guys have any questions that you are looking to get answers to, I'm always available. So that's
Awesome. Thank you so much. It's Ockey online. Okay, let's have First Colony come up.
So most of you know, the Fed is meeting today to raise interest rates. Now, what that means, as we've gone over previously, 0.25%, which is projected rate hike, does not directly correlate with mortgage rates. That is the federal funds rate. It's a completely different rate. However, what could affect interest rates is how the market reacts. That's more so going to deal with the press conference afterwards of how do they see inflation? What are their goals moving forward with the federal funds rate, as well as the unemployment data that's going to be coming out later on this week. And so if you have any questions about, hey, what did the market do today after the reaction, feel free to let us know. But just know that the 0.25% rate hike that's projected is already priced in. It's not like rates are going from X to X by 0.25%. So
Thanks for reminding us about that little factor that we'll forget about when we hear the news, we panic, right? Okay, anybody from Security National here? We're online. Okay, anybody from First Class Title here? No. All right, how about Acclaimed Home Warranty? How about Silverback? And Two Man Movers. Okay. Today, I'm so excited for our speaker. Obviously, he is our COO. He is also the president of Salt Lake Board. We love that he's at Presidio now. He's such a huge asset to us. What? Yeah, I'm not going to stop here. His last name is Ockey. Okay, just want to make sure you guys know that. It's more for me. Anyway, because
It's not spelled that way.
yeah, seems different. But he is a master at overcoming objections. This is going to be an awesome class. You guys are literally going to walk away like, I got this. Let's go to a listing appointment right now. So here we go. Let's get going. Go ahead, Rob.
Thank you so much. Okay, we're gonna set a little bit of ground rules that we're gonna talk about today. So we're going to, time permitting, we're going to go through we're gonna actually do some role play in demonstrate exactly how these objection handlers work. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna go through the role plays real quick, and then we're gonna talk about the actual objections that are there. And then we're gonna also point out some other things that are done that I want you guys to try to pick up on, and then we'll try to do the role plays again. And that, of course, time permitting, will allow that to happen. And then outside of that, if there's any other questions, certainly we want to be able to answer those. But one thing I need to find out on the role play, do we want to treat the role play, and I'm going to leave this up to you, but one will allow us, do you want to do the role plays as if you're talking on the phone with a person, trying to set up an appointment? Or do you want to treat it like you're in front of the client, whether it be on a listing appointment, whether that be with the buyer, you want it to be talking to them face to face?
I want to see both.
Both, yeah.
We don't have that much time. We can, the reason why I say that is a face to face example. Well, if I were talking on the phone and I was trying to set an appointment, the one big mistake that people make when they're on the phone talking and trying to, with objections, they try to resolve the objection on the phone. That is the biggest mistake they make. That is not the time or the place to be trying to resolve that objection. And I'm going to, here's a simple, quick example. And remember, time permitting, we can't go too deep on the objection, if you're, because it'll take time to resolve that. But here's a simple example. Steve, just ask the first question that often comes to mind when, you know, what's your commission?
What's my commission?
Ask it to me.
Oh, okay, Rob, how much do you charge?
You know, that's a great question. Steve, ultimately what I'm hearing you say is you want to be able to net the most money on the sale of your home, correct?
That's not what I said. I said, how much do you charge?
I understand that. See, this is where I was saying, I can drill down on this left and right. If he wants to be difficult, I can go down on it, but it's going to take time away from everything else. So it depends on how you want to handle it. But Steve, I understand that what you said is you'd like to know what my commission is, but let's be honest. If you don't believe that I can actually sell your house, does it really matter what my commission is?
Well, it does to my wife.
Okay. And that's the very reason we need to get together. What's better for you, afternoons or evenings? Okay, I can handle whatever he wants to say. I can go into it, but
Steve, right up.
what I was trying to get at is when he says, I don't want to handle that on the phone, because if I just say, hey, my commission's X, there's no other value that I bring to the equation. Okay, when I'm sitting face to face, I've already gone over the things that we do. That's when you have more time. That's when they're going to see the things that are being brought forth. A study that I want you guys to know, some of you already heard about or know about. There's a study that was done years ago that talks about communication and how communication is broken down. When you're talking, what is the biggest fear that you have when you're talking with a potential client or a client? What is your biggest fear? Just go ahead and spit it out.
They only want to talk about commission.
Okay.
My biggest is telling what I want,
Tell them
money, like commission, like what I want to charge. That's my biggest fear. I'm getting to that point.
Okay. Any other thoughts? So commissions.
You're talking about your fear when you're sitting with the client?
What is your biggest concern when you know, there's all kinds of objections that are out there. What's your biggest concern?
They're gonna pick another agent. They're gonna go with.
So is there agent in the business, commission?
Well,
And we're handling those two objections. About.
along with the other agent, there's so many people that present themselves all not real.
So is there more concern?
Well, it is because sometimes if they're a better manipulator or talker and they promise the world, but you know they can't deliver. Do you know what I mean? And you know how you.
So quite frankly, if that were, I would say that would be awesome, because if that's your concern, I would turn back I would put that back in the client. Hey, is your concern that you're going to be actually working with an agent that may promise a bunch of things, but end up not delivering that? That's the very reason we need to work together, is because I'm not that agent. What I promise I'm actually going to do. So I would love to have that objection, because that immediately just separates me from anybody else. But
When husbands and wives take polarized positions.
okay, so yeah.
Clients saying that they want to wait for the interest rates to come down or the prices to come down.
Okay, so
See,
urgency.
Yeah.
Okay.
No, the price of their
I just
home is
wanna
low.
wait.
Oh, they want to go with that.
So there's the value of the home that is displayed on Zillow versus what here,
What'd you say, Christopher?
that's what he said. That on Zillow, the value of the home is already identified. Okay, so,
Or they think their house.
okay. So trying to determine value of the home,
They're comparing us to flat fee brokerages.
okay, flat fee brokerage, all right. We're gonna handle 3 of those today, so. Have we decided, is it gonna be in person or on the phone? Okay, so if we're doing it in person. So that we don't have kind of what Steve was saying, like, we have to then, one of the ground rules. We have, because when I go into handling objections. This is going to be after you've already determined your value. You've already gone through. Explain what the company does. You've already gone through what you do to sell homes. And we're gonna have to take this assumption here, because again, we're time permitting. We're gonna have to assume that the client is excited about working with the company. And is excited to work with you, feel like you're the solution, or I'm the solution here. If I can resolve their concern. Because part of the one thing that I will do before I go into the handling objections. Is you gotta isolate the objection. So for example, Jen. Just give me 2 concerns. What concerns do you have about selling the house?
If I'm gonna get top dollar,
Okay,
or if. I don't really wanna, what? Okay, I wanna show it all the time.
you want to show it all the time
Yeah.
and you want to get top dollar.
Yeah.
Correct. So when I ask that question, this is the part that everyone has to agree to. I've already talked about the company, I've already talked about myself. So she's good with that. So great, okay, outside, so if I understand you correctly, you said that you want to get top dollar and you don't want to have to worry about showing the house all the time,
No, like maybe just on Saturday.
just on Saturdays. Okay. So is there any other objection outside of those 2?
Oh, I have 100, I'm a seller. Hang on.
And this is what we already agreed, we're not going down this rabbit hole,
Right, that's
it'll
it.
take forever. But I'm trying to isolate the concerns, so again.
Yeah.
Outside of those 2, is there any other objection that you have?
No,
Any other concern?
no,
Okay, great. So, Jen, is it fair to say that if we can come together and we can resolve those concerns, are you ready to get started today?
yes,
Okay, so if we resolve all those concerns, you feel like our company, I'm the solution, then you're prepared to sign paperwork today.
yeah, I think so,
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
You think so? I'm
I
concerned.
think so.
So now if I heard think, I'm gonna go back into that, but we're not covering this. She's gonna say yes in this case. You got that?
The answer is yes.
Yes, is yes. Okay. That's important. I've isolated the concerns, because now if I resolve those concerns. She's already said that we're ready to get started. Fair statement?
What if she said no?
What if she said no?
Yeah.
Great, well, then I have to go back and handle that objection first. I'm not going, okay, so why are you not ready to go? And I have to handle that. But see, I'm trying to position everything because they may always come after, and I can promise you this. Here she said, yes, she's ready to get started, and I resolve those objections, and they may still say, I'm not really ready to get started. Then I would say, I'm confused, help me understand. You said you had these concerns. And now you're something else. Have I missed something? I'm gonna address it, but separate issue. We're not. As you can see, this class this is a 4-day seminar to handle this. Okay, this just on these alone, but we're really trying to just get some specifics. Okay, so everyone understands the ground rules. We're gonna have to be concise. It's okay to object maybe like once, but time permitting, if we keep objecting, that time will be spent handling only the one objection versus the multiple. So that being said, who wants to be a guinea pig with me? I'll be the agent, you're just the client.
Come on, who's
Come on.
a bad day?
All right,
Might sound a little gruff.
okay.
Aw.
So good. All right. So I'll give you the opportunity. You got either the 3 objections we're gonna try to cover is there's another discount brokerage that says that's, you can say, let's just say. Home, let's say that they charged $3,500, right? You're thinking about going home. So that's the first one we can do. The second one is, will I lower my commission? Okay, we heard commission concerns. No, the third one, the third one is I have a friend in the business. We want to start with that one, okay? So. I've already isolated the issue. Your only concern that you've addressed is right out of the gate is that you have a friend in the business. That's the concern that you have right there. Okay? Remind me your name again.
Kimberly.
Kimberly. All right, it might be good to know the person you're talking to at this stage in the game. So Kimberly, so you said you have a friend in the business. Tell me a little bit about that.
So it's my cousin
Okay,
and she's only been in for a year, but you know, you've got to keep it in the family.
okay, totally understand that. So you said that she's been in it a year. How, I mean, even though they've been in a year, do you know how many homes that they potentially sold?
She did really good out the gate. I know she was working on it with a team.
Okay,
So I just know she had a really good first year and she said she'd take good care of us.
perfect. And what does a really good year look like for you or sound like to you?
I don't know. I'd have to ask her.
Okay, all right. So we'll pause right here. There's two ways that this is going to be handled. If depending on your own record, you can use your own record to compete against this question. And that's going to be based on your confidence and your record. If you don't have a record that you are proud of or would like to use, then the other avenue is you're not going to go this direction. Okay. So the first part, we're going to talk about using the record. So Kimberly, totally understand where you're coming from. And let me ask you a question. What's most important to you is how much you actually net on the sale of your home, or actually how much you're able to help your friend, or in this case, your cousin?
Well, I mean, obviously to my husband and we've got to make the most money out of this.
Okay, so you gotta make the most money on that. Totally, that makes sense to me. So if you need to make the most money on the sale of your home, do you believe that that can actually be more accomplished by someone who sells a lot of real estate, or someone that might be newer in the business?
Well, I mean, I can see where you're going with that, but she would take really good care of us though, because she's family.
Absolutely, I would, of course.
Why not?
And that makes perfect sense that they would take care of it because they're family. Let me ask you a question. Do you believe that other family members or agents that are family members, do you believe that they're always the best agent out there?
I mean, I guess that's a good argument. I mean, we kind of just, my husband and I talked, we want to keep our private, like our financial things private.
Okay, so one of the other concerns,
Yeah.
and obviously if you're sharing that information with a family member, that's gonna, they're gonna have to.
She's gonna keep that
Of
confidential.
course, they have a fiduciary duty to keep it confidential, so that. Let's try to just keep things somewhat. There we go. Okay, great. So would it matter to you if whether it be your cousin or any other agent that you're looking at, would it matter to you to know how much business they're actually selling?
Yeah, I can text her real quick and ask her.
Great. So you did, how many they sold?
Oh, I guess they did about one a month.
So 12 months. Wow. Can I just tell you right now, that's almost 6 times more than the average agent across the country. The average agent across the country sells about 2 homes a year, and they did 12 homes the entire year.
Yeah,
It's actually pretty good.
she was kind of.
That's very good.
That she had a good, foot out the door.
Perfect. So wait, on a team, is that what she sold herself, or is that what the team sold?
I guess I can ask.
Ask.
I guess it was a team.
The team. Okay. Do you know how many that she sold from that team?
I've never asked so many questions.
Questions are critical. If you do not ask questions, you're dead. So this is where you start getting them, because it isolates it. Okay.
Okay.
Just whatever you said.
Okay, so I forgot your question, sorry.
So the team sold 12.
Yes.
Of the 12, how many did she personally sell?
About half of those.
About half of those. I call BS on this, by the way. Again, the average agent sells 2 homes a year. They did 6 homes entire. That's great. So they're 3 times better agent. So if I could show you that just last month alone, I sold 4 homes. So all year long, I'm on track to sell 40 homes in the entire year. Would that mean anything to you?
Yeah, I guess I could talk to my husband about it.
Okay, first off, I would not be just meeting with her.
It would be.
Husband, if they set up an appointment and they're both decision makers, they would both be here. So again, don't drill down too much on it. This is all covered out right here.
Got it.
So would that be important to you to know that, you know, if I'm selling 40 homes versus say 6? Why would that be important to you?
It shows you've got some experience.
Okay, some experience. I have a little bit of experience. Would time in the business be important to you? Meaning how long someone's been selling real estate.
Yes,
Why do you think that might be important to you?
because to me, there is experience and I can see that you're saying maybe she doesn't have as much experience.
Okay, and why would that be important to you? Working with an agent that has experience versus someone that does not.
Well, because we want to get that top dollar.
Okay. So if you're trying to get top dollar, do you think that you have a greater chance with someone that actually has been selling real estate for a long period of time and has a great success? Or would you rather try to roll the dice with someone that, you know, is trying to get established? Not saying that anybody can sell a home in today's market. But today's market, and also the more experience that an agent has, they're going to be able to protect your best interests versus looking out for their own. Okay,
I don't know, they gave some pretty cool closing gifts.
they do some closing gifts. You know what? If I made you an extra $10,000, would you rather have a basket or an extra $10,000 in your pocket in this clothing gift?
Okay, I totally am done.
Okay, the whole point here is asking questions is critical. Try not to, again, we could drill down on this, and this is something that would take a long time to resolve that objection. The key thing that I was trying to get at this point is saying, hey, look, you have a friend in the business. If you have a friend in the business, that's great. Most everybody does. Let me ask you, are you trying to do your friend a favor, or are you trying to net the most money when you sell their home?
Well, and just being in the hot spot, I learned the importance of asking questions. I guess I freeze. So when I'm in your seat and they start saying all this stuff, you know, like, oh, we want to keep it private, we want to keep it the family. I realize that's what I need to do better, is be more confident and ask questions, just keep.
And when it's an objection, that's great. Hey, thank you so much for bringing that up. I don't care what the objection is, because now I'm listening, I'm hearing all this stuff. Okay, we're gonna go on the semantics of the objections as soon as we get into this. Can your questions wait to when we go through after the objections, or is it something that has to be right now?
Which top dollar is not the most important thing for them. What if using their friend and supporting their cousin?
Let's hold that question when we talk about it. I would say that's not very common around the gate, but okay, so let's go to the next one. The whole home, for example.
Okay, because that going right into that, if it's when I'm in this situation with the friend, the next thing that I didn't go with, because I won't talk, is that they're gonna do it for no commission.
Okay. So now, all right, let's,
Right in.
if we can do that with the commission is the problem. Let's just transition to that.
Okay.
So now it's the commission. The commission is the concern.
Anyone else want to say here?
So you're concerned about the commission.
Intimidating her, Rob.
I'm good.
I shouldn't. Yeah, I'm not intimidated. You're not laid to the hot seat. I just handle the objection, right? So, okay, so you're concerned about the commission.
Well, yeah, she's gonna do it for free.
Totally understand that. I mean, there are a lot of brokerages out there that either they do it for free or there's minimal expense that's there. Well, let me ask you. If I was able to net you more money on selling the home, even if you paid a commission, does it really matter how much you pay or how much you actually save?
We gotta look at we gotta see the numbers.
I totally understand where you're.
We've
We've already gone over the numbers. Handle all this stuff. We've already gone over the numbers. We're on the same page, what we can get it sold for.
Have you already told her what you want to charge for commission?
for this point? Okay.
No, that's never even typically brought up at the end of the conversation, but no, the commission has not even been addressed.
Okay.
So,
So my cousin's not charging, she's gonna charge me 0 commission.
Okay.
And she said she's gonna come and stage it for free. And so I won't have to pay for staging. And she's offered professional cleaners to come clean, when I move out, so.
wow, sounds like an incredible deal. Let me ask you a question, if there's a person's.
Independently,
Yeah.
nothing to do.
All right, so let me ask you a question, is.
By the way, those are things I do for my clients, so.
Right?
You don't.
Oh, yeah.
That's why I need.
It's fine, all this stuff's fine, so. Let me ask you a question, who do you feel, whether this be your cousin or myself, who do you feel that's gonna be able to represent you? Let's put the commission aside for a second. Who do you feel is gonna be able to represent you and your best interest better? Whether you be your cousin, any other agent, myself, who do you feel right now that has the not only the skill sets, the ability to represent and protect your best interest?
Well, we were originally just gonna go with her without interviewing anyone, but we felt like it would be a good idea to interview a couple of agents, and that's why I gave her to me.
Perfect. I mean,
So,
you said I think interview a couple of agents. I'm assuming because you just wanted to verify whether or not you're making the right decision.
that's correct.
Perfect. Great. So how do you feel right now about what we talked about?
I feel like I'm still leaning towards her. What do you think, Kenny?
So then I clearly, again, we're not I've already resolved
Right.
all that stuff. You keep going back in. This is what I was, if we're trying to flow with everything, if I'm on handlers objections, if you were good with the company, we already established the ground rules, you're good with the company,
And then,
you're good with the agent, and you're good with the agent,
yes, I
okay?
have a lot to offer, but
Okay.
we're still not sure.
Okay,
Cause I get that feeling when I'm with my client.
and I wouldn't be here at this point. So remember, this role play example, we're trying not to drill extremely deep on the,
All right.
because we don't have the time for all of that.
Right.
We can do it. I'm fine to do it, but we just won't have time. So. How would you want to just drill down on this, or would you rather,
I think keep going.
you want to keep drill,
You're doing great.
want to drill down, and that's fine,
Girl.
we'll go with it, okay. So. Yeah, so you still have, you're still confident with. Okay, we haven't even taken the commission yet, so you're seeing some.
Would you how your commission, what they look like?
I'm happy to go into that. Before I do, I do have a couple of other questions before we cover that. Then a couple of questions I have is, because you also mentioned that you still feel like you're leaning and going towards your cousin, is that correct? Versus working with me?
Yes, maybe you could share with us some of the discounts you would give us, like she's offering.
Okay. The key thing the one thing I want to address here is. If we just talk about discounts. Right out of the gate. Then it doesn't matter what I do to sell real estate. Or what anybody does to sell real estate, because if you're only concerned about the discounts. Then versus what I can actually do to show you how I can save you more money. Then the discounts really doesn't matter. For example, if you're to go buy a car. If you're calling out to say, hey, what are you charging for X car? But then they don't tell you all the other benefits and features that are actually with that cost. You don't know what you're actually getting, and you're only focused in on that dollar amount. What I'm getting at is this. If you believe that if through everything that I'm doing, everything that we already talked about from the company, from myself, what we talked about that we did this week does. Do you believe that having all of those benefits will net you more money if you work with me versus working with anybody else?
I'm very visual. Can we just go over the numbers again?
Okay, we already went over,
Right.
we already are on the stats. We already showed you where the comps are. We already showed you where all that is.
So you're telling me that you can bring in, you can net more than she can.
First off, I would never make that promise that I can get you X dollars, I can do this, I can, an actual price, because unless I'm gonna pay a check myself, I will never guarantee any price. What I'm saying is, again, this is where, to focus on what we cover, is, do you believe that my ability to negotiate is better? Now I would never ask it this way because we keep going back to stuff that we would have already resolved. I'm trying to help you what we've already talked about. Do you believe that I can negotiate better than your cousin?
It's a no. No.
A polite no.
So the reason why this is difficult, because this objection would have been handled earlier on. This is what I'm trying to gather, and we're not drilling deep on this objection, because the promise that I can say that I believe that I'll be able to net you more money on the sale of your home is because you already said it in your example. You never ask this many questions. You don't do all these other things. The majority of agents don't. And that is the same thing that happens when you're negotiating on the other side with the other agent, where the other agent doesn't have the skill set either. And so, or they don't bring up the other features and benefits that are there to persuade that side that they need to go with your transaction. For example, I just put my cousin under contract on new construction. The builder, I mean, there's multiple offers that are even going on right now, right? The builder, initially they were offering whatever the normal interest rate, they were having a lender incentive of $3,000. They were paying 2.5% commission. They were they had a separate incentive program that gave a 4.99% interest rate. But if you did that, they were not willing to pay any concessions. And my offer that I submitted, I said I want the 4.99% with the 3% concessions. I want the BAC to be 3%. I want a fridge. And what else we have? I think that may be it. At first, they came back, they countered back, oh, and the price that was at. They countered back our offer with $30,000 difference in what their counter and what we started with. When it was all said and done, everything I asked for, I got. We got our price. I got the 4.99, which they had to buy down. The interest rate there because 5 7/8 or something like that. 5 was the rate they could have got a ring in 6 at par. So it's 4.99, paying the 3%, concessions, and the BAC was bumped from 2.5 to 3. They took everything. Where I'm going with this is most agents are not asking questions like this. And these questions, these are what are going to net the person more money than if I reduce my commissions down to 0. If I have and the objection where you handle this goes to be like where a discount program. So let's go to that first objection. Because this dovetails together with it. So Kimberly, let me ask you a question. You said they're willing to discount their commission. Why do you think? It's not a family member here because it's not going to be handled exactly the same way. Why do you think an agent's willing to discount the commission so much? Do you think are they typically doing this because they're a nonprofit agent?
Oh, because I mentioned we had considered going with Homey.
Homey or a different or somebody else. Because there's a lot of companies that will either charge less or at a heavy discounted amount. Why do you think agents are willing to discount the commission?
I can only guess that they're not doing as much. You mentioned all those things that you're going to be doing for us.
Okay. All right.
Kind of that idea, maybe you get what you pay for.
Okay. What do you mean?
Well, I don't love going down the street to So Walmart, because I don't get the best service, so to me, that's kind of what I'm looking at, I get the opportunity of choosing what I'm gonna. Have that kind of an experience or
Okay,
pay a little more for a better experience.
I mean, that what's important to you is you don't want to pay a lot of fees. And so that's something that's of concern. Let me ask you a question. If you ended up going with a company that maybe they offer discounted fees, but they don't have the courage or the confidence to stand up for their own self-worth and what value they bring, how do you think they could possibly defend you and the value that you're trying to get on your home if they're the ones that are going to be representing you?
Good point.
Okay,
Hadn't thought of it that way.
so do you feel that it's important to have somebody who has your best interests in mind?
Absolutely.
Okay, do you believe that if not only that they have your best interests in mind, do you believe that if they have the ability or the confidence to make sure that they protect that best interest, do you think that is important?
Yes.
Okay, so do you believe that I actually have that ability to protect your best interest at heart?
You sound like you know what you're doing.
Okay, do you believe that if we were in a situation where you're negotiating on your home, do you believe that I have a skill set to negotiate your best interest and protect your best interest versus any other agent?
Yeah, I think we can make that work.
Okay, at this point, I would go into a close. Well, let's say that there was a little bit of opposition. Well, let me just phrase it a different way. Would you rather have me in your corner representing your best interest? Or would you rather have me be on the opposite side representing the buyer's best interest going against you? That would only ask if you feel like you're confident in what you're doing. Because otherwise you're setting yourself up to fail if you're not confident enough on that. Would you rather have me representing the buyer going against you, or would you rather have me representing you, protecting you against the buyer?
I think we'd rather have you in our corner.
Okay,
Can I get you on Monday?
sign the contract. But where I'm going with it is just like when you talk about your interest rate, or like how much do you charge? I charge X%. If you charge, the friend said they're gonna do it for 4%. I charge 4%. Okay, great. Well, the whole point of asking if you believe that you can actually net more money utilizing my skills, because if that other agent charges 4% and they don't have the skill set to negotiate for the client, they're not only great, so they sell a house for 4%, but then they also lose an additional $20,000, $30,000, $40,000 because they don't have the strength to actually negotiate and represent the client. So that's the part that I'm trying to cover is it's not about the price. Because if I charge 10%, but they actually net more money utilizing what I did versus the person charged 4%, is it really about the 4%, the commission, or how much they actually net? It's how much they net. So that's why on the phone, you never handle the objection. It's just because at that point on the phone, you haven't established a relationship. When we're at this point, we would have already been together for an hour. We would have been going through bit by bit, handling the objections as we go. So when the close comes, if the close is difficult, then I haven't done a very good job in the previous hour handling those objections. If the presentation has gone well, the close is simple. Literally, and I can't tell you how many contracts I've signed where we didn't even discuss the commission. I pull out the paperwork and it says 7% plus the 495 right there. And they'll look at it. They may say, "Oh, your commission 7%? Yes, it is." Okay. And they just move on. I told you before, 30% of the business most of my business that I did came from expireds and first OA owners. First OA owners, they want to save the commission. Nothing new. I got about 30% of those that were still a 7% and a 495 additional fee. So because of the value that was brought forth is they feel that, oh wow, okay, whether it be a family member, whether it be, we've gotten phone calls from a cousin who's in the business. I said, you know what? The great news is this: you're still gonna have the opportunity to actually earn a commission. Sign's gonna be up in the yard, we're gonna start showing the home tomorrow, and bring us a buyer, we'd love to pay a 3%. I mean, they can still earn the money on it. But they didn't get the listing. So it's based on that type of information's being conveyed is what's gonna separate you from anybody else. So that's the hard part in trying to do these role plays. Unless we're gonna handle that role play and go from start to finish, you can see the effects of it. To try to go in and just say that I've handled objections you had, that's the hard part. So, thank you very much, everybody. We're gonna, okay, so let's. It's 15 minutes left, okay. Go ahead and you can hand those out. Let's talk about a couple of things that are outside of what's in writing. So, the study I did that was done about communication, where 7% of communication comes from the words that you use. Okay? The actual words you say are impacted only 7% of the time. 38% of communication comes from your tone, from inflection, tone. The other 55% comes from your body language. So when you're on the phone, you know, you're only working with 45% communication because they can't see who you are. When you're physically in front, you've got 100% of communication that's there that they're working with. So the key things you want to, you know, that's why the reason why I also talked about, you know, when you're on the, are we doing this by the phone? Are we doing it in person? What are some things that you guys observed that I was doing in the presentation? Outside of what was said, did you guys observe anything specifically?
Mirroring.
Mirroring. Okay, what is it? For those that may not know, mirroring and matching, what's that?
Well, when she moves, you tactfully kind of move to model what it's neuro-linguistic programming.
Alex laughed at me when they talked about that's going to be done. So that's exactly correct. So what she said is when the client does something, you know, when Kimberly looked back, I don't immediately like jump back just like she's doing it again like this. But we're talking and then a little bit, I might just do another adjustment. That type of communication occurs because it helps building trust when you start doing some similar things that the client ends up doing. And you do it very subtly. It's not aggressive, but you're trying to, the whole concept of mirror match is if you are together, it's the neuro-linguistic programming, you're creating a connection without any words that are being said. So yes, the body language is there. When I was sitting, was I sitting back all the time like this, just kind of not engaged in it? Or was I actually engaged in the conversation?
I feel bad for you. You're like coming down.
Yeah. I completely.
Like intimidating her.
Oh, because it's too, okay. Did you feel intimidated?
Part of the time, yeah.
Okay. Did you feel intimidated because of a client or did you feel intimidated because of weird? First off, if we're gonna be sitting, there's gonna be a table that's gonna be there. And the setting.
Your policeman husband would be next to you.
Yeah. That's gonna, so you gotta understand where the setting is
Putting back in.
there's no doubt about it. If they're gonna feel intimidated, then that is an area where we're messed up. Absolutely.
So,
I will now.
in all honesty, I was learning, you know, having a moment of learning. And I'll speak to what we were just talking about. So I did feel like you were coming on kind of strong. And in my head, I was thinking, I know I don't come across this strong to my clients. So do I need to sell myself a little more and let them know that I will negotiate in their behalf? And I had a learning moment where I think I can show them my negotiation skills in a sense as I'm selling myself. Because they're gonna want me to go do that for them, you know, when I'm negotiating.
So let's make it clear,
I have a little bit of a moment.
the thing I don't wanna do is intimidate them, because that's not creating the connection. So part of that is just the challenge that I'm trying to go and try to get all this done in a period of time, because if we were sitting at a table right there, it would not be that. I would be the same in regards of asking questions, but it wouldn't be trying to, hey, come on, let's get this, stay on track here, stay on pace, stay on this. No, if they had those objections and I thought that they were already resolved, and they brought them up, I'd have to address it. I would have, oh, interesting, okay. And I would be more subtle in the approach, but if you felt intimidated.
I did a little bit, so I'm thinking of.
Yeah, absolutely.
Really saying, and the neuro-linguistic programming stuff, you have to match your energy. Because if the client comes back and they're strong with goal, we really feel strong about working with our niece or cousin or whoever. If you are timid with that, with your answer coming back, that's gonna, it will feel like weakness and you won't sell them on it. So it's the feeling you're trying to create as well. So you've got to send the message of.
Even like if you're silent, your voicing, I need to be more subtle and quiet.
Yeah.
If the conversation is going that way the entire time, then I have to bring it up. I don't want to stay silent and soft the entire time, but it's until you kind of establish something, then the hope is I'm going to bring you out of that soft, timid approach to get you more engaged. No question about it.
Just a couple things. I thought it was great that you always reaffirmed what they said first, like you agreed with them so that they never felt challenged. You didn't ever come back at them in a negative way about anything they said. You always affirmed it. Like, of course, yeah, of course you'd feel that way. And
You're validating your concern.
you were always validating. And then the other thing is, talking about the energy is you always have to make them feel like you're not the enemy. Because a lot of times sales appointments, you just automatically come off as like the enemy or something. Kind of like when you're trying to sell your teenagers on something, they think you're the enemy. So I always kind of like, I'm not your enemy. I'm your friend. I'm working with you on this. So it's just that, like, I want a win-win situation for you. I want what's best for you. Let's talk about what's best for you.
Right.
Making them feel really safe and comfortable.
Absolutely. If this would have been a situation, again, what we're trying to do is I would have established a connection. If the connection would not have been there, they're not going to say that, unless they're just trying to agree with me to get me out the door. Okay, yes. But then when I ask the question, hey, if you truly feel comfortable with the company myself, are you ready to get move forward? They're going to say, well, not really, no. Okay, interesting. Okay, I'm confused. And so part of this is the fact that you're trying to do a lot in a little amount of time. But the things that were talked about are in communication, there are several things that are addressed. There's transitional statements. Let's say they kind of go off on a tangent. They're going off, oh, my cousin this, they're gonna do this, oh, that's incredible. As important as that is, let me ask you, that as important as that is a transitional statement when they're off on a tangent. You tell me, why are you moving? Oh, because of this, they can go on for 15, 20 minutes. I can either sit there and listen for the full 15, 20 minutes, or at some stage where it's appropriate, not because I'm trying to cut them off, but we've all been in those situations where people are just talking to talk, right? So a transitional statement helps get them back on track. Wow, the fact that, I'm so excited that you're wanting to move to California. And as important as that is with everything else you're going to be doing while you're there, let me ask you, now I redirect, get them on track. Then there's sound bites. Sound bites where you say they're moving to California because they want to be closer to their job. Oh, how incredible is that? You know what? I helped somebody just like what you're doing just last week. And what was so incredible, right? Now that they've moved and they found their house to live next to each other, they are more happy than they could ever imagine. So I take something that's there and I provide a soundbite that's true. I'm not just making up a story, whatever it is, I gotta have a soundbite that helps show that I'm the solution for that versus anybody else that they're using. And then the nonverbals, and this is part of the neuro-linguistic programming as well. So when you're saying, Kimberly, when you decide to sell your house, you know, I'm saying yes. Like yes, you're gonna sell yourself. And when we decide to work together, the best part about us working together is, so I'm already saying that I'm the solution. These little things that happen are part of that, part of that 55% of the communication that occurs that on the phone you don't have. So you're trying to incorporate several avenues of what's being done that you're able to address it. So no matter what, the key part, you got to obviously connect with whoever you're speaking to. But I want you to gain out of what you're getting today is the fact that questions are critical. If you're not asking questions, then you're not in control of the situation. If they're the ones that are going to be either asking the questions or telling what's happening, that's where it ends up getting you in trouble. So say like you're dealing with a common objection that you're probably dealing with or having to deal with now is price reductions. For the last 3-4 years, price reductions is not a skill set that you need to worry about. Now it actually is. To save time, I can come back and just show the data. Well, the data says here you need to be listed at X. But whose price is that? Is that my price or is that the client's price? The short answer is it's the client's. That's my price. That's not the client's price. But if I'm asking questions and showing them everything, interesting. So you feel like your home is worth $50,000 more than your competition. Explain to me, why do you feel like your home's worth $50,000 more? Well, it's got gold railing. Well, solid gold railing? No, gold plated. Okay, all right. Anything else? Well, I just put in a new faucet. And okay, so how much does that gold plate cost? And how much does the faucet cost? $1,500. Okay, so you've explained to me that the cost is $1,500, but yet you're still another $48,500 more than your competition. I'm going to ask a question, Kimberly. Would you mind taking off your seller hat for a second?
Sure.
Okay, take the seller hat. Obviously, this is a beautiful home. You've lived here for so many years, and I can see that the love and care is already here. But a buyer that's going to be coming into your home, are they going to have the same experience that you've had over the last 20 years living here? Have they lived here for the last 20 years to have the same experience as you?
Nope.
They're not, are they? They're gonna. What do you think a buyer's going to look at when they come and look at your home?
That gold railing.
Absolutely. They're going to see that gold and the new faucet. They are going to see that. In addition to the gold railing and the faucet, what else do you think they're going to be doing?
Looking at a lot of other things.
A lot of other things, right? So if you take your seller hat and looking at these two properties that are in line, yours has the gold railing and the faucet, and this one doesn't. If you were a buyer, which home would you actually make an offer on? If they're looking at it truly, they're going to say, well, this one over here, because it's $48,000 less. Ultimately, you're going to ask, at what value would you consider making an offer on your property? And then you say, well, do you feel like if they end up saying, well, I go over here, okay, do you feel like you're like most buyers? Because you're going to go make an offer on another home too, that you haven't lived in the house. What are you going to be looking at? If you saw two homes that were $50,000 apart, what would it have to take for you to be willing to pay $50,000 more? If that gold railing is that incredible, Okay, you can't pay for it. Because now if they say, you're right, okay, so what, in order for a buyer, if you just got through saying you're just like any other buyer that's out there. What do you think a buyer would be willing to pay on your home? And now they start drilling it down and the emotional, I want $50,000 more versus what I think I'm gonna get. What price do you think we need to set on your home so that we can get those buyers to make an offer on your home versus making an offer on the competition? And now when they say that price, now it's no longer my price. It's their price. They're like, oh, you're right, it does need to be at X. Okay, great. So are you ready to go ahead and drop the price to this? Yeah, let's go ahead and get started. So asking those questions when you're bringing out the difference, because, hey, they may just say, I get it. I understand that my home is $50,000 more than any other home out there. And unless I get $50,000 more, I'm not going to sell. Okay, so now at that point, I got to decide, do I want to take a listing or not? If I don't think it's going to sell, then you know what, Kimberly, I think we might just be too far apart at this point, and I may not be the best agent to help you try to accomplish that. So I want to appreciate your time. Thank you, and go our separate ways. And there's going to be another agent that, oh, I'm going to get a listing, and they're hoping they're going to get sign calls. Actually, the one thing I forgot to cover on that first part, we'll end with this. There's some agents that are going to hope to get sign call, and this is the whole thing with homing that everyone brings up. If I'm using an objection talking about homing, I'm going to ultimately come down after I ask, why do you think the company or agents could have a discounted price? And we started to go down this, well, they may not feel like they can get that amount of money. Okay. And after I would go into that, the one thing I'm going to say is, okay, so ultimately you're choosing to go with a company that they're going to get money up front, guaranteed. Can a company stay afloat for only making $3,500 on a transaction for every single deal? They used to, I think they were $795 is how much they sold the house for. And that was what the company made. And they've since gone up to $3,500. Okay, so if a company can't survive on $3,500, period, how do you think they also get paid? What other ways is that agent? I mean, if the average agent sells 10 or 2 homes a year in the country, and let's say an agent sells about 10. So if they make $3,500 per deal, they're going to make $35,000 to sell your house. Is $35,000 in income enough for an agent to survive?
No.
It's not. Okay. So do they make money in other ways? How do they make money?
Title, mortgage.
Okay, title, mortgage.
They get buyers off the signs.
They find out other business, and if they're representing a buyer, how much money they're hoping to get? A 3% commission. So in this price point, that might be 15 grand. Okay. So when that agent has their sign on the yard, does that agent want to receive sign calls?
Yes.
They want to receive sign calls. Once that sign is down, do they continue to receive sign calls?
No.
They don't, do they? So that agent benefits more the longer that sign is up in the yard, correct? So if I understand correctly, if you're choosing to go with this particular company, where they make $3,500 up front, so they're getting paid a commission out of the gate, which I don't. The only way I get paid is if we actually sell your house. But this other company, they're going to make a guarantee money up front. And they're hoping that they're going to get some more business on the back end representing a buyer. And they're going to keep that sign in the yard as long as they want to keep that sign in the yard as long as they can to generate leads. So this is where I start like, interesting, because when I think about that, it sounds to me that you're basically paying somebody hoping that your home doesn't sell. So you're paying a company not to sell your house. Is that the type of company that you want to list your home with? And now I'm like, really? I'm confused. Why would you want to list your home with a company that ultimately hopes that your home doesn't sell because they generate more leads by that happening. And that whole purpose is like, oh, interesting, I never thought of it that way. And we would go into that concept of talking about it. But it's true, they get guaranteed money up front. They get guaranteed money up front, and then everything else they pay is graded. But that's a guarantee. It's a
Guaranteed, yeah.
$3,500 to sell the house. It's not.
They don't,
average-
there's a bunch of companies.
Yeah.
Like,
There's some, I mean, that's where I said the example, instead of 3,500, there's some that do for 500. Just pay a $500 fee up front, and it's guaranteed.
It's like giving your kid candy before they clean the room.
That's all it is. And they hope that they get a sign and they can generate more business.
Care if they sell your house.
Well, they're not gonna tell you that, that's.
It doesn't benefit them anything to sell your.
At that point, it doesn't, because if they get buyers, they're gonna generate more money. So,
Yeah, they'll let you list it at any price you want because they wanted this.
what, you can do it, absolutely, you can do it. Okay, great. So, I mean, that objection ends up being simple, but all I want you to get from today's class is, first off, the objections are always the same. Friend of business, commission, discount brokerage, I mean, it's the same objections, and there's several ways to resolve it. But at the end of the day, the one resolution is always the same. If they can do better using my services than anybody else's, then why wouldn't you work with them? And this is why I went back on your question, you were saying, well, they feel more, it's not about making the money on the sell of the house, they rather help their family member or friend. I mean, what they want, in my opinion, is they want both. They want to be able to help do it the cheapest, make the most amount of money, and help the family member.
And you know what, you're there, so that you can give them your expertise, so that they can go back to their relative and sell the house with them.
That might be the case.
Yeah.
So, and I would ask the question, so Stephen, I'm confused. Why did you decide to have me in here? And maybe be that bold, you know what, honestly, you sound very good on the phone, and I want to take the information you have so I can go give it to my cousin. Okay, and then at this point, it's already, okay, at this point, no, that's fine. That's fine, it may not, I've already, for me, it's a coin toss, so I've got nothing to lose. If I don't have a listing, I got nothing to lose. Interesting, so then I would go into, which is a little more confrontational, say, but Steve, just talking about this information is the first step. At the end of the day, when someone is going to be negotiating on your house, there can be two agents that are going to be involved in that. Do you feel that I can negotiate better than your cousin? Because if you do, wouldn't you want me on your side? Because if you don't, I may be representing the buyer on the other side going against your cousin. Is that something that would worry you? And they may say, no, it doesn't worry me at all.
Well, I see, it
Sounds like you're great.
interest there, if you know a lot of my stuff.
Yeah, but you didn't sign a contract yet.
I'm just, never mind.
Staying there.
No, I'm gonna be negotiating with this cousin, so thank you for your time.
Yeah, great. And what I'm talking about doesn't work every single time. I'm not suggesting that it does. And I guarantee the analytical type person, which I would also be one of those, they're oftentimes the most difficult to sell because they're fixated on one thing and you're not, and their part of it is like, you're not gonna persuade me. They're just, it's a pride thing too. And sometimes I'm able to dig into that and other times I'm not. It just isn't gonna work. So, but I have to be okay with it. Because the other thing about it is who's supposed to be the professional and the one that is in charge? Is it the client or is it me?
Yeah.
If it's me, then I'm gonna say, hey, if we're gonna work together, this is what's the direction we do, but we do it as a team. Otherwise, if I don't have that confidence, okay, whatever you want to do, Steve. So,
You can't even do any of these closings or any of these like negotiations until you like get their wall down because everyone has their wall up. So I think that's like the main thing at the start is tear down that wall and then you can have these open flowing conversations. So if you never get to the point where you like torn down the wall, then It's
Yeah,
really-
the other thing, we talked about this something before, there are 4 personality types. There's a driver, there's an analytical, an amiable, and expressive. And we all fall into one of those categories as a core. We have bits and pieces of everything, but as a core, we fall into one of those categories. You're naturally going to bond with your like. If I'm an analytical, I'm going to connect with an analytical easier because we think the same way. And there's some that are more difficult. For me, an expressive who's just going to go off about, oh, the sky is so pretty. I'm like, okay, let's go. I got to get stuff. That's where I have to get out of my shell and say, sky is really pretty. Oh, tell me about the sky. Then I feel like I have to get them to open up and communicate about the sky because that's who they are. And when I do that, oh, we're connected. Oh, this is probably let me talk about the sky. It's so great. Most agents would let me do that because I have to be who they need me to be in that situation. So that's where a lot of these things come into play on any of this stuff is dealing with the overall aspects of communication. Clearly, this is a lot of information. Thank you, Kimberly, first off, for being able to allow me to sit down. Thank you for I love the feedback on what's there, because the one thing about this, doesn't matter how long you've been doing it, there's always room for improvement. And every single day, that's what's there. So thank you. If you have any questions, happy to answer them for you, or always available if you would like some suggestions. Thanks, guys.
Being here today, I hope you got some great objection handling ideas. If you guys didn't get the handout back there, there's a couple more up here, so. Hey, well, thank you for coming. Go out there and handle objections.